Being perfect is about being able to look your friends in the eye and know that you didn't let them down because you told them the truth. And that truth is, you did everything you could to be perfect, like Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond.
Want to learn from those that are taking their lives, their businesses, and their passions to the next level? Best-selling author of Master the Art of Connecting and professional speaker Lou Diamond is here to connect you to some of the most inspiring and amazing people on the planet. Get ready to thrive loud with Lou Diamond.
Welcome, everyone, to a spectacular episode of Thrive Loud with Lou Diamond, connecting you to the most inspiring and amazing people that are thriving each and every day. I'm your host, Lou Diamond. Today on Thrive Loud, we have a beloved international speaker and transformational teacher. He speaks at countless organizations across the globe, and he is on a lifelong mission to awaken and inspire people across the planet to access inner freedom, live authentically, and fulfill their true life's purposes. He is back by popular demand, Thrive Loud listeners. We had him on just over a year ago. We featured his book, Magic of Surrender. He's got the paperback edition coming out in early May, in about a month's time from now, or not even a few weeks from the time this episode airs. Thrive Loud listeners, Kute Blackson. Kute, how you doing today?
Good. Thanks for having me back. Really appreciate it.
I like talking to Kute for a couple of reasons. One, he's like the most chill, relaxed dude you've ever seen. He's hanging out in California. He's got the sun glowing on him. He's magnificent in his message, but he also has such a nice aura about him, which makes it fun to chat with. Listeners, you're going to love this conversation. Kute, where I want to go today, just before we get to all the fun stuff about what's been up with you.
Sure.
I would love to actually hear what you've been working on lately, meaning what have you been seeing in the workspace? We're in a cool spot right now here in the spring of 2022, depending, politically and globally, there's some issues going on in the world, but, we've been trying to adapt to kind of like a little bit more of a, not in the COVID sense of the world. And I'd love to hear your take of what you've been seeing, challenges, issues, things in your world that you're coming across each and every day.
Yeah, I don't know if I can, how to speak to that, because, I haven't been going into an office as much, and I've just been, to be honest, in my reality, I have been traveling, creating, building my team, working with my team. And so I haven't been as immersed in, let's say, the narrative of the world in the same way.
Okay.
I kind of unplug from the news, unplug from the media, unplug from sort of external stimulus. That I'm someone that I don't really allow external stimulus and noise to determine my experience and how I'm going to be. And I think one of the opportunities during this time that we're in is the opportunity to access a deeper dimension of real freedom for us as human beings. I think the invitation that we are in, that we've been in, is like, are you willing to be free? Are you ready to be free? And what is it to be free? What is freedom? What is freedom when who you thought you were may not be, when what you thought you were is uncertain, when the future's uncertain, when your job's uncertain, when all those places you may have held on to for a sense of identification is in limbo, like, who are you? So I think right now, the opportunity as a humanity, I think we are in a global seminar that is really about freedom.
Oh, I like this.
And the opportunity for us to find that deeper dimension of freedom that isn't based on things outside. Like, I know where I'm going. Like, I know what the future is going to be. Like, I know where my job is. I know what this is going to be. I knew what that's going to be. I know what's going to happen in the government. I know what's going to happen in finance, in the global market. It's like, that's great. But I think the opportunity spiritually, on a spiritual level, like on one level, there's the one-dimensional level with which we can look at the world, which is the news, and this is happening and that's happening. But I think underneath that, there's a whole nother level of spiritual opportunity for us to access that deeper dimension of freedom, to really question what's real, what's true.
Yeah, well, I want to go there because this is interesting because I'm with you on this. It's the opportunity to look within, look deeper within, and I think there are people trying to figure out how to do that. There are some people that can't get away from the noise, as you described it. I think that's the right term. Someone who's interested in trying to figure out how they can step and start doing this, joining this, I love what you just said, this symposium or this absolute opportunity to embrace freedom right now. What are some of the things that people can do so that they can go within? You help people inspire this way. I'd love to hear your steps. Yeah.
I would say number one, unplug from the media. Unplug from it. But how will I unplug? Because the reality is, the media, I don't really watch television. I don't really, unless I choose to watch something specific. But I think for the most part, the news, the media, they don't have an investment in you being free, an investment in you knowing who you really are, an investment in you being connected to your divine nature. Because if you're free, you can't be manipulated. If you're free, you can't be sold a bunch of shit that you don't really need, And so the media, so when we unplug and we cultivate time, we unplug, we take our perceptions, the five senses, out of the external, and then we start taking it inwards. We start taking control of where our perception is, and our perception and how we perceive life starts to determine our reality. And so when our perception is determined by the noise, because we're so addicted to social media and the news and CNN and Fox and the division, it can start making us crazy, and it can really disturb our peace. And so when we unplug from that and we go inside more, I think we have a different reference. And so unplug and meditate.
So first of all, I love the unplugging. Just don't unplug to the podcasts, because
don't unplug to the podcast.
Don't podcast, because this is great. Well, this is actually something that we were talking about. We're now in a world more in every form of medium where the only thing that we probably would tune into television for, like the old traditional TV, was to watch a sporting event or to watch the news. Everything else we can kind of watch at our leisure. We're not stuck anymore with, my favorite show is on at 8:00, or, this is what I want. This is what I'm interested in doing. The schedule isn't being told to us. We can control the show. We can control our viewing, our behavior, our distractions, our activities, which leads us to the fact that there's a lot of things being pushed at us to try and direct us in the way that we can be controlled, in the way that we can focus on ourselves, to go within and understand what we can do. I get that we can work on who we want to be and what we want out of life. I'll always call this the first derivative, right? The people closest to us. Kute, you have a team of people, you have a family of people. Talk about how you could bring the stuff that's in your inner freedom and the people that mean the most to you together. Like bringing those two pieces together. How can our listeners kind of like understand how they could access the stuff for themselves, but also connect with others who are in their immediate circle so they can do the same?
Yeah, I think when you unplug and you start connecting with more of your real feelings, more of who you really are, more of your true self, and you start realizing you're not just this body, you're not just this ego, which so much of the media wants to convince you that you are, which creates more disconnection and confusion. When you start realizing and really getting in touch with, wow, I'm a soul, I'm energy, I'm consciousness, I'm whole, I'm lovable, I'm perfect, I'm complete, I'm a beautiful being, I'm not enough, I'm not unlovable, which we're conditioned to believe that we are. We start connecting with the true essence of our being, that, wow, I'm a spark of the infinite, whatever you believe. I'm a spark of the divine. Oh, okay. Wow. That creates a level of fulfillment, a level of peace inside. And I think from that deeper connection to oneself and that deeper realization of who we are, that completely can start transforming your relationship with those around you. Because when you know who you are, then you also know who another person is. Because you start realizing that when I am at the deepest level, there's a shared beingness between me and someone else. We're not so separate. we're not so disconnected. And even though our personalities on the ego level might be different, at the deeper level of beingness, of what I am is what they are, is what my family is. And we can start relating to those around us, not from ego to ego, which often creates conflict, but more from soul to soul. And I think when we relate more from soul to soul, being to being, then more love opens up, more understanding opens up. And then it also, I think, allows the space, because we know that we're connected in one at the deeper level of being. Then even on the personality level, when there are differences, Democrat, Republican, blue, white, red, this, that, left, right, up, down, when there's differences, we don't have to get as identified with those differences on the identity ego level, because we know that what we are isn't those differences. We know that what we are isn't the ego. What we are is the soul. So I think there's a much more, spiritually speaking, there's much more of the space to embrace the differences and still have understanding and compassion and love, because we're not as identified with ourselves as an ego. Then we don't necessarily relate to those around us as just egos, and egos get into conflict. We're seeing ourselves as souls. We can see another person as soul, and we're able to relate on that deeper level and embrace some of those differences. And I think there's more harmony. And to me, real harmony is not the absence of conflict. Real harmony is not like we all agree about everything. Real harmony is the ability to embrace the differences, to honor the differences, to celebrate the differences, to cultivate compassion, understanding for those differences, to dance with another person's differences. And I think that's what can start opening up as we unplug and go inside, connect with that deeper truth.
Dude, I love that, because harmony, when you think about it, is not the same things. It's two different sounds. Yes, all right. When we harmonize, right? So I love that message. And I also think that we're in a constant battle. I want to use the word battle. We're in a constant battle to focus on ourselves, meditate, go within, and try to make our worlds better, battling with the noise. I think the noise term that you used is perfect. Nice. And I think that challenge is for those that are able to focus, simplify, not be distracted by the noise, and whatever you do, and you focus on what's important to you, what means the most to you, what you are all about, like kind of unleashing your superpower, if you would. That part of your soul is that those are the people who thrive loud. Those are the people who are living their best lives and are focused on what they care about most. My question with that battle of the distractions that are out there, because look, the hardest part about bringing that individualism about yourself out, one soul to another soul, is that by nature, when we try to get that message out to others, it's hard not to want to loop it around in some lasso, like all the parties you just discussed or all the beliefs that you discussed. Keeping that individuality is something that I know is very important to you and is something that you work on each day. For those that have trouble, that keep sliding back into the mainstream or get out of that, and the ones that you work with, what are the steps that you help them? I got the process and the thing that they can do. They can meditate, they can go within, but how do we get them on track? I want to know what you do to help people get them on track, because you have a certain process of actually how to take advantage of the way that you surrender. This is what was in your book. So I'd love just give a quick hints to our listeners here of kind of the way you approach it, not knowing the answer of what we need to do, but the approach and how you get yourself set up to go within.
Set up for, can you be more specific?
Set
up for what?
I could tell, I'll use meditation as an example. I can try to, I probably do 8 to 10 minutes. And then my mind just turns on because I've got something else to do, work stuff and things like that. So part of it is that my prioritization sometimes gets in the way. And when I'm really good at it, I know I've blocked off. This is kind of like the balance between real definite time and the things that are important to me. I have a certain amount of time that I can go within and meditate. But I also know I have to balance out that I do have other things that I have to do. So in approaching that, how do you tackle that? How do you get someone to approach it?
I mean, still trying to like feel into your question, but what I would
I
say,
think I'm looking for the discipline. I'm thinking about how to set the discipline to go within.
Okay. So make it a choice to not be a choice. Let's keep it very simple. Make it a choice to not be a choice. It's just not a choice. We make it, well, maybe I'll meditate. No, it's not a choice. I exercise every day. I went running this morning. People say, oh, you're so lucky to be healthy. No, it's not luck. I wake my ass up at 5 a.m. when I don't feel like it, primarily because I make it a choice to not be a choice. And that takes away the kind of wavering and the possibilities. It's not a choice. Brush my teeth, take a shower, go for a run. It is what it is. It's not a choice. So that takes the wavering away. That's number one. And what we have to realize is in that discipline, there is freedom. A lot of people don't realize that there's, I just want to go with the flow, do whatever I want, whenever I want. That's not freedom. Freedom is sometimes committing to do what you don't feel like doing in the moment so that you can thrive later. And it's a bigger freedom that comes from that. And so make it a choice to not be a choice. In terms of meditation, a lot of people say, well, I don't have time. I'm so busy. That is complete BS. It's not true. How much time do we spend on social media? I know people that spend 20, 30 minutes on social media wasting time. We have time. We have 20 minutes. We just don't prioritize it. That's all. So I think when we realize, make it a choice to not be a choice, and you prioritize it, and you realize that investment into your own peace and into your own consciousness actually will give you so much more. Will give you so much more, will give you so much more capacity for freedom and peace and joy. It's just something that you do. It's just the hardest part of meditating is not meditating. The hardest part of meditating is sitting your ass down. That's the hardest part. And if you're someone that says, well, I don't really have the time to spend 15 to 20 minutes a day to meditate, you're someone that can't afford not to meditate. And so prioritize it, because, if we said, okay, we're going to just kidnap your children unless you spend 20 minutes a day for the next year, we would find the time. We would just find the time. And so make it a choice to not be a choice. And I think that is a key. And we have to, especially the craziness and the way that the chaos of the world, things like self-care, things like your meditation, spiritual practice, where you are accessing the deeper dimension of your being that is already free. In meditation, you're accessing a deeper dimension of your being inside that is already free, not looking in the world to try and get freedom from something, but the dimension of your being that is already at peace, that is already free. The way that the world is with so much chaos, meditation is even more valuable and even more necessary now than before, because the world is spinning faster. And so there's a quote in the Bible, not to get religious because it's not my thing, but there's a quote in the Bible from my childhood days that says, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these things will be added unto you. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, go within, connect with the source of your being. The source of your being is the source of all existence. The source of your being is the source of all manifestation. The source of your being is the source of all. When you connect with that source of being, you are tapping into the deeper dimension of oneness that is connected to everything. That is the source of existence. That is the source of manifestation. That's when life starts happening. And so it's like a tree. If you have a tree, what we are tending to do in order to manifest greatness and manifest money in life and what have you, is if you have a tree and we're now painting the leaves and you paint the tree trunk, it's great, but that doesn't mean the tree is truly alive. Meditating, your own spiritual practice, is a way of watering the root. When you water the root, the entire tree blossoms. And that's really what creates a thriving life. That's really what creates a full life. And so that's the invitation. And I really think the world and the last few years, we are in a spiritual evolutionary process that is forcing us. It's like life forcing us to go inside. To me, this is the greatest spiritual revolution the world has ever seen, because all those places we went to outside looking for happiness, freedom outside, realizing shit, it's not out here. It's not out here. All the places where I held on to for a sense of identity is gone, is changed, is changing. It's not out here. And now we're forced to go, what's real? So that, I think the world is forcing us, the universe is forcing us to connect more deeply with who and what we really are. So that's why I say it's a freedom process. And I think as human beings, when we realize, I think this is also a paradigm shift. When we realize that first and foremost, we are souls. We're souls. We're souls that incarnate into this human experience, having a human experience. And as souls, we're here to learn, to grow, and evolve. It's the bottom line. And every experience and every relationship and every situation is part of the lesson and part of the curriculum for our soul's evolution. So I think when we can start seeing life, not through the what's happening or the story level or the one-dimensional level, but from the soul level, realizing I'm a soul and I'm here to go learn and evolve, then we can shift our relationship to life to realize the whole purpose of life, the whole purpose of why we're here and doing what we're doing is not just to make money, buy a car, go on vacation, and then die. Like, we're here to learn, to grow, and evolve. We're here to learn lessons, grow, and evolve. Then when we shift our focus, then no matter what's happening out here, no matter what's happening in the world, because there will always be stuff that is going on in the world. If it's COVID, it's this, it's that. Next year's going to be that. 10 years from now will be another thing. There's always going to be something. And there has to be something, because life is a school, and how we grow in life is through lessons. And we are, I think, as souls, we incarnate into this human experience in order to remember who we are, in order to realize who we are, and in order to access freedom. In order to truly learn and access freedom, there has to be limitation. There has to be certain, bandwidths of limitation. And so we incarnate into a finite form in order to have the friction so that we can be forced to go inside and access the deeper freedom, to become masters inside of this domain of freedom. The world is a realm. I think when we understand this, the world is a realm of duality. It's not going to be this sort of perfect utopia. It is when we connect, this is the greatest freedom, I think, that starts happening. When you realize this is a realm of duality, it's 3D. We live in a world of interdependent, polaric opposites, the nature of life, up, down, black, white, rich, poor, good, bad, good, evil, tall, short, male, female. It's the Tao. It's the yin, the yang. When we can really understand that this dimension that we live in is imperfect. It's not meant to be perfect. There's no perfection out here. There's no perfection at the level of the personality. When we realize that, we start looking for it out here, and we can start shifting our relationship to life. It's like, this is this life. This is this dimension. It's how it is. When we stop resisting, then we can accept. When we can accept, we get into relationship with, then we can experience more peace and more freedom within. And then we can come back into the world from a place of more neutrality and peace and affect change.
There's two terms from this I want to summarize. I love when people say you need to enrich your soul. And I always love that, because that actually is what it is. The riches of the life are the stuff that we find within it, right? So all the things we learn in life, the lessons, the experiences, the love, the feelings, that's the enrichedness. Those are the real wins and monies that we try to achieve. That's for our inside. And the other part you mentioned, which is really funny, I always think about this. My new thing for how I feel if I don't want to, if I say, oh, do I want to work out, or can I meditate? I now work backwards. I know how good I feel after both of those things.
Course.
And I got to get to there. And somehow, and this is, by the way, and this is the thing that your message is all about, is that there are a lot of things in the way that we get distracted from all the things in this world, that chaos that you described. And it's important for us to understand, start here, work on this, work inside oneself. And that's going to help us get the feelings that are going to feel good about the stuff versus the other stuff. You're not going to find the stuff externally. This is where you and I are on the same page. So we're all there, my brother. I love it. Let's do this. I want to do a quick plug here. Share with the listeners. You got the paperback version of your book coming out, Magic of Surrender. Tell everybody where they could find it, links, all that stuff. And you have a free gift, a pre-order free gift.
Yes. The paperback is coming out May the 3rd. The Magic of Surrender. Go to Amazon, paperback, pre-order the paperback right now. You'll get it May the 3rd. And for everyone that basically pre-orders the paperback before May the 3rd, you get to attend. I'm doing a very special live virtual online workshop called Reinvent Live. Just going to be walking through some stages of how to reinvent yourself during these times, and how to let go of the past and who you were, connect with your truth, and share more of your gifts with the world to have an impact. So I'm going to be teaching for about 3 hours, May the 7th. It's a very special one-time only virtual workshop. Once you order on Amazon, go to this website, www.Kute Blackson, my name, Kute, Blackson.com, /reinvent seminar. That's kuteblackson.com /reinvent seminar. Just enter your receipt and info into that website. That gets you access to the seminar on May the 7th and a whole bunch of free gifts. So I'm excited. I want to see everyone there.
Well, thank you for that, Kute. And we will put that in the show notes. People go to Kute's landing page here on the podcast if you came here from wherever you came from, whichever social media thing you're not supposed to be spending a lot of time on, but you're supposed to be listening to podcasts. You're supposed to be listening to this. Kute, I wanted to wrap this up with one big thought here. And I thought about this from the last time you were on. You came on last summer. Wow. And one of the things that I heard from a guest that was on the show, they had made a comment that the most rewarding thing that we're going to look at will be this time, this chaos. Whenever there's craziness, there's always an opportunity. Whenever there's a down, there's always an up. The yin and yang that you just described. For you personally, in the magic of surrender, in creating the book, and now marketing, and it's coming around now, and more people keep getting it. I'd love to know maybe what was the gift that you received from bringing this book into the world, because that sometimes happens. Like when you work on something, like there was an unsuspected, unsurprising thing that you did not really plan for, that was kind of a gift that came back to you from Magic of Surrender. Did you have one of those?
Yeah, I think so many, even before the book was written. The book was kind of inspired because my mother passed away from stomach cancer in 2017. And that's what I think initially, I don't know if we talked about it in the first interview, but that's what initially kind of inspired the book. And so before the book even came about, I started to fly from Los Angeles to London, where my mother was, every month for a week to be with her during her chemo sessions. And I'd sit with her and I'd be with her and I would hang out with her and we would talk about nothing and everything. And what was interesting was I realized that I hadn't just sat with my mother and had conversations for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hours, 8 hours in chemo sessions since I was a kid. And I felt it was such a beautiful gift. Talk about a gift. It was such a beautiful gift. I had a year with her. And the gift of just being with her and sitting with her and watching her make tea and realizing this could be the last time I ever see her drink a cup of tea. This could be the last time I hold her hand. This could be the last take. Every moment became incredibly precious. And I think one of the gifts, started out as the worst year of my life, turned out to be the best year of my life because we got so close and the intimacy between my mother and I was so just deeply connected and authentic that the only regret I had was, why did I wait so long? Why did I wait for this moment to spend this time with her? Thinking, I was always thinking, I have time. I have time because I want to take her here and do this and travel. I have time. And the reality is, I really realized, we know it, but the reality is something different. I realized we don't have time. We think we have time. The only time we have is now. And so I think the biggest regret I have in my life is not spending more time with my mother, but it's the gift has been feeling that as a sacred regret has really got me in touch with the preciousness of every moment of life, even once she's gone, and so that's been a profound gift. And I will say that inspired the book. And what I will say too is when you write a book, be careful what the book is about, because somehow the universe will force you and invite you and challenge you to live everything in your book. And so that's really what happened to me. I wrote the book before COVID, and just as I'm finishing the book, COVID hits, right? I'm like, oh, did it's funny, like people say, your book, my friends were like, your book brought about COVID because COVID just happened just so you could learn surrender, I was kind of laughing about that because it really forced a lot of surrender. I stopped doing, like for many of us, it changed a lot. I stopped doing live events, which was for me, my gift. Stopped doing live events. I ended up moving from LA, moved to my house in Phoenix, let go of my office, my apartment in LA, ended up ending a relationship with a woman I thought I was going to be with forever. On and on, moved from Phoenix, sold my house in Phoenix, ended up moving to Miami, This was all within kind of a year and a half. Moved to Miami, ended up in Miami, no idea why. And now I'm back in LA again. So it's like, talk about the gifts of surrender and the universe saying, hey, learn surrender and trust. And so one of the gifts has been, in each stage of the process, learning the different nuances and dimensions of real surrender. Because I think there's fake surrender and there's real surrender. And fake surrender is where you surrender, going, well, I'll surrender if that means they'll come back to me. I'll surrender if that means I end up getting what I want. So then I'll surrender. That's kind of surrender with agenda. Real surrender is where you feel the calling of like, yeah, I need to let this go. I need to follow this path. I need to move in this direction. And I have no idea where it's going to lead me. All I know is I'm meant to do this, but you don't have any idea. When you truly surrender in that way, without projecting your mind or your past into your future, you're not limiting the manifestation. It's completely open. Infinite possibilities can happen. That's where magic and miracles can happen. And that's what I've seen in my life. Many things, I won't bore you with it, but many things have unfolded in ways I couldn't have even imagined, better than I imagined, and it's still unfolding in amazing ways. So that's been the gift.
Kute Blackson, Magic of Surrender, the soul to soul episode, man. Thank you for coming back on Thrive Loud. Great little catch-up episode with you. Continued success to you. Everybody, check out this free gift in this awesome seminar that he's putting together on May 7th. We'll put it all in the show notes. Kute, great to see you, my friend.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. And to all our listeners out there, thank you for joining us. And until next time, keep moving onward and upward. And remember, be brief, be bright, be gone.
You've been listening to Thrive Loud with your host, Lou Diamond. Check us out on the web at thriveloud.com and follow us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook at Thrive Loud. And check us out on the Good Pods app at Thrive Loud, where you can follow, listen, and connect directly to Lou and all of the Thrive Loud episodes. Thanks for listening.